Good day, everyone. It is Calxiyn and Hunter here. If you guys enjoyed this video, you guys should subscribe, become patrons over on Patreon to support the channel, and follow us over on social media. Today, we are going to be talking about Dr. Sleep and RWBY. Okay, so we're going to go in chronological order here, okay? A couple months ago, when the Dr. Sleep trailer came out, there was a big-ass RWBY poster in the background of Abra's room. And Abra, as far as I know, I think is the little girl. I think that's how you say her name. I'm very sorry. Yeah, she has The Shining, and basically, if you guys don't know, this is like the sequel to The Shining, where Danny is like an adult and he's messing around and all this stuff. Like he's just living, and this girl comes up to him and is basically like, hey, you have The Shining, and Danny's just like, traumatic memories, and that's basically
Danny
what
Torrance
happened.
from the first one, and they call him Dr. Sleep because he's working as almost like
a hospice
worker, and he can bring people down into their death very kindly, which isn't a very Stephen thing.
Mine was a very TLDR version, but yeah, that's basically the plot. And the girl is just like, oh, you have The Shining. There are some people that want to like suck The Shining out of us. That's a little awkward, sis.
They're
and that's
a gang
the
of
plot.
Vampires, which if you know a lot about Stephen King, he sure likes vampires.
And yeah, so that's the plot of the movie, basically. All right, everyone, this is obviously my favorite place to go, which is my own Twitter account. So this Reddit poster posted, Dr. Sleep has more than just a RWBY poster. So confirmed more than just a RWBY poster over Abra's bed. The toy series figures, if you guys have seen, confirmed for Dr. Sleep, and there's drawings of Emerald, like you can see posters of Emerald.
But she doesn't have her like weapons.
Her weapons. She's weaponless Emerald. Well, somebody was actually saying you can't. Like, if you've owned any of these figures, it's really, really hard to actually put the weapons in their hands. I have Kingdom Hearts ones that don't, like, they don't go in either, and so it's just, that's a staple of having figurines.
I know that.
These
I had
days.
the Roman one. It was impossible to get that stupid cane in his hand. I imagined that there was just some, like,
they didn't want to even open it and glue them in. They were just like, no, like, fuck this shit.
There's some, like, production assistant being like, son of a bitch. Okay, fuck it. She doesn't have her swords.
Anyway, so Emerald and her appearance is in
pantomime.
there. And I said, my thoughts on this are because the girl in the movie has the shine, she feels a connection to Emerald. Emerald creates hallucinations, making you question what's reality and what's fiction. I said fiction. I should have said, like, illusion or whatever. Could be some symbolism. The girl may relate to Emerald, see herself in Emerald. I'm pretty sure the girl is also black, and so I kind of sort of thought that that's interesting, that Emerald is a black character who makes hallucinations, and the girl is also a black character who has the shine. Like, I don't know. It was an interesting sort of, like, it was just too perfect. You know what I mean? Like, it just happened, like, it was just a wonderful, like, sort of coincidence, and I think that that's, like, awesome. And so I linked back to the Reddit thread. It's interesting because this dips in how people with superpowers in our world would feel about fictional characters. Does that make sense? Like, if My Hero Academia was Earth, how does Todoroki feel about a character like Zuko? Dr. Sleep is in our world. How do these characters feel about RWBY, which is fictional, right? It's sort of a, I don't want to say Inception type thing, but it's a meta sort of thing. Cause like, say like we love RWBY and we're like RWBY YouTubers, obviously, but say like Hunter and I suddenly got superpowers. Like, how would we suddenly feel about RWBY characters that have similar powers to us or similar experiences to us? I think that's always an interesting idea. And with like Dr. Sleep, it obviously takes place in like the Stephen King sort of universe of things, but that's also our world, and so RWBY is a thing, and that also means like, I talked about this in another post with the poster, but I'm like, does that mean that Miles and Carrie and like Monty, like they all canonly existed in the Stephen King universe? Because this isn't just an Easter egg, and so let's talk about that. So there was this tweet from Inverse, and we're just gonna open that up. Okay, and so we're gonna take a look at this. I'm not gonna read the entire thing. There are spoilers for the movie and plots of the movie. And so we're gonna keep going, like we're gonna skip this because this isn't necessarily like what's important. Later, Abra and Rose confront each other in the psychic plane, in which can change shape. Oh, okay, which can change shape depending on the individual. So, like, it's basically Mind Palace, right? Her Mind Palace is a filing cabinet. Rose's is like a cathedral or something. Abra surprises Rose by trapping her hand in a cabinet. That leaves Rose vulnerable to let Abra infiltrate her infiltrate her, allowing her to roam Rose's cathedral and learn all her dark secrets. So it's like a switcheroo or something like that. Throughout the sequence, Abra has adorned a light green bob, an homage to her favorite character in RWBY. And wouldn't you know it, Emerald has similar powers to The Shining too. And so we know that Emerald a couple times has done a sort of Uno reverse card, if that makes sense. Like, Emerald makes an illusion, and the most sort of potent scene of that I can think of is Amber. Like, she makes a little girl to trick Amber, and then they kind of sneak up from behind and attack her, right? And so that actually happens. There was another...
I also like how they're like, what the fuck is
There was another
RWBY?
moment. Uses powers like Emerald against Rose to fool her into thinking she's asleep in her bed when she's actually waiting for the right moment to strike, right? And that's basically exactly like what Emerald does. Like, Emerald creates things that other people see and then sort of sneaks up from them from behind and, like, attacks them, especially in that sort of scene with Amber. So I feel like this bit, like, in the film, the power against Rose to fool her, right? That's what Emerald sort of does. Like, it's all, like, sort of distraction and all that stuff. And then, like, the light green bob and all that, like, these are sort of the most important parts, and they do have spoilers, I guess. Like, I guess the tension in that scene would go away if you know that Abra's not actually asleep in her bed. But they also talk about how this actually happened, and I think this is so cool. So the actress is a fan of RWBY, like a diehard fan of RWBY, and so, like, this Rooster Teeth director person, like, says it was very serendipitous, and it does. Like, it all just connects to each other. Like, Emerald is just the perfect character for this.
It also helps
right?
that they're all both owned by Warner Media.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that helps too, right? You know, Achievement Hunter group went to the hotel where Stephen King stayed for like the first, like,
the Overlook
to write the first Shining, basically. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that was what inspired the first Shining.
They
in
recreated
the
Overlook Hotel. I've seen the video. It's very creepy.
Or something like that.
From the
and it's really cool. A specific request for RWBY. So it's like, it's not just, oh, we're sticking RWBY in here to make money. Like, no, they found something that really connects and really works with Dr. Sleep, and the Dr. Sleep people, like, wanted to do it. You know what I mean? And so I think that that's so cool. And, like, the fact that the actress is a RWBY fan, like, sis, is that a camp? No, that's a RWBY. I was like, is that a Camp one? Because it looked like a Max Pop. I don't have my glasses on, guys. But yeah, like...
Nomad of nowhere!
Anyway, but yeah, I just think it just all... like, connects so well. Like, it's just crazy. Like, isn't this crazy?
It is.
Let's go back to us now, since we've talked about all the articles. So yeah, like, this is insane.
Can I launch into my knowledge of Stephen King for a moment?
Sure.
So Stephen King, as you've kind of, like, glimpsed, has a connected universe.
Right.
It's kind of like the Marvel movies, that all of Stephen King's work exist in a singular
It's sort
universe.
of like Black Mirror. Like, people have made the Black Mirror timeline, even though they
or like
say
the
they
Pixar
aren't connected.
cinematic, or the Pixar theory. But with this, they outline exactly what happened. So there's a series of books that Stephen King wrote called the Dark Towers series. They're like 7 of them, written over 30 years. It was ridiculous.
Right.
And basically the gist of it is that all fictional worlds, including Stephen King's, but like every fictional world that has ever been written ever, always takes place in the universe of the Dark Tower. And the titular Dark Tower is like the separator of all of the fictional worlds and the real world. So a thing that happens in that book is you meet, I know, right? In that book, I forget what book it was in the series.
Wait.
Yes.
So, is that basically Stephen King? Like, obviously his works are fiction, but they're saying that his works are fiction. Does that make sense? Like, it's like, the world of The Shining is fake and it's in the Dark Tower. The world of it is fake and it's in the Dark Tower. Right, but
So
I'm saying that it's
Stephen
not
King
the
is
real...
one of the many multiverses.
I'm saying, though, it's not the real characters alive. It's that Stephen King wrote them. Like, he's acknowledging that he wrote them and these are fictional characters that exist in a universe.
In a yes.
Yes, okay.
But here's the thing, he's not just talking about his own characters, because in the Dark Tower you also see the Golden Snitch from Harry Potter. Meaning that, because I think him and J.K. Rowling are buds, so she let that slide. So presumably that means Harry Potter, which funnily enough is also Warner Brothers property, is a different part of the multiverse. And here would also assume that, well, RWBY is just another multiverse in the Stephen King, just because every fictitious stories. But here's another every fictitious story that has ever been written.
Right. So
is just a
basically, what you're
different
saying
multiverse.
is,
Yes.
so Doctor Sleep is fiction and RWBY
Yes.
is fiction, and they both exist in the same fictional multiverse.
Yes. But that would no. Well, because here's the thing. Because in this universe,
Do you guys understand what I'm saying when I'm saying something is fiction? Like, there's
Yeah.
a difference between, how am I supposed to explain this? Like, Doctor Sleep is real, and so is Harry Potter. They're both real. They
In
both
their
take
own
place in the
universe.
real world. There's a difference between both of those being real and sharing a universe. Does that make sense?
Yes.
But then there's a difference between saying Stephen King wrote Doctor Sleep and J.K. Rowling wrote Harry Potter. The characters are fake, but all fiction shares a
universe
Right.
in the Dark
Yeah.
Tower. And so
Okay.
presumably that means RWBY is also a fictitious universe that has like everything that happens in RWBY happens in its own alternate dimension in the Dark Tower.
Right.
Yes. So here's another interesting that has happened in that
I
novel.
can't even breathe. I'm
So are you?
just
So I showed you the first Stephen King or the first It film
Yeah.
recently. So in It, Pennywise is like this ultimate force of evil,
Right.
and Pennywise also appears in the Dark Tower.
Okay.
Yes. And at the end of
Right.
It, the novel, they defeat Pennywise by talking to a giant turtle monster. And this turtle is the creator of the universe who created the Dark Tower and all the multiverses. And so they talk to this turtle so they're able to defeat Pennywise. Because Pennywise is kind of like the opposite of the turtle, where the turtle is omniscient and good and basically like God and loves everyone.
Sure.
Pennywise is basically Satan.
The turtle was not in the movie, right?
The turtle was not in the movie. He was referenced a couple times, like you can see turtles in the movie, but he wasn't. They took that out because it's pretty weird. Stephen King was on a lot of drugs back in the day, and you can kind of tell that reading his writing. So, but the impression is that Pennywise is in It as the ultimate force of evil, but
Right.
Pennywise also shows up in different Stephen King novels as the ultimate force of evil.
Right.
He shows up in many forms, just like in the movie, he takes many forms. He
Right.
shows up in the Tommyknockers. He shows up in...
So you're saying basically his base is not a clown. Like
Yeah.
he is like say he's just an evil orb, but he's an evil orb taking shape
Yes.
into different things.
He's
that
basically
scare
Satan.
people.
So
Right.
who's Satan in the RWBYverse?
Oh no.
Is the Dark Brother. So
Right.
the idea, or my
So
theory is
the
that...
turtle is the god of light.
Yes. I
And-
forget his name, but the turtle is the god of light because both the turtle and Pennywise, I believe, can shapeshift. And
Right.
Pennywise would be the Brothers Grimm.
And the brothers shapeshift.
And the
Hunter!
brothers shapeshift. And the thing is that the brothers leave at the end of RWBY, and that's what Pennywise does. Pennywise doesn't stay in one place. Pennywise bounces around. That's why you see him in so many... That's why you see him in The Dark Tower and Tommyknockers and It. And like a dozen other Stephen King novels. There's been like 70, and I can't keep them together. So really, what I'm saying is the Dark Brother is Pennywise.
I'm literally gonna cry. This makes sense?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. The Dark Tower books are very strange.
I'm
but-
horrified.
So yeah, so not only does RWBY
I am-
exist in Doctor Sleep and the world of The Shining, RWBY exists just as all fiction exists as a part of the Dark Tower universe, and by extension has the possibility of RWBY characters showing up,
Oh my
or that
God.
things that RWBY characters have could be stuff that Stephen King characters have, like The Shining.
Right.
A
So
lot of-
Emerald has The Shining.
Yeah,
in a
Emerald
sense.
Emerald could have. Well, Semblance isn't The Shining, but it could kind of be The Shining in the film, the book, The Firestarter. I believe a girl has pyrotechnic abilities, so you could make the argument that's just the semblance. So in this multiverse, The
Right.
Shining just manifested as semblances.
Right. Holy shit.
Because also, like, this is just me enjoying Stephen King, but like Danny Torrance has The Shining, but also like Carrie kind of has a version of The Shining.
Right,
and
because she
she's able
levitates
to use
and
yeah.
moves things.
Also, the man, I forget the man from the Overlook Hotel, the black man.
Yeah,
Yes.
Halloran. Oh,
Halloran,
I love
yeah, Mr. Halloran.
That's the only reason why I stuck with that book, too.
His grandparents are mentioned in the novel of It. because
because they run the town or something.
They lived in Derry and ran a bar that got torched because a bunch of racists were inspired by Pennywise. Yes, because Pennywise can make people do bad things, just as the Dark God made Salem a little, you know what I mean? So yeah, Pennywise might be the Dark God.
Oh my god. If you guys have stuck with this video past just the emerald part, like, I hope that you guys, like, this is the best video we've ever made. Like, this is the best thing that Hunter has ever said. Like, ever. Like, in terms of theories, like, this is the best theory that Hunter has ever crafted. Like, there is nothing wrong with this. Like, it's
better than Oscar poisoning the casserole. I'll have to give you that much.
But oh my god. I'm like, my mind is blown. I need to go lie down. I can't handle it. Oh my god. You guys heard it here first. Okay, The Shining and RWBY are the same. They are connected. They are one. Okay, everything is connected. Everything is one. Harry Potter is in the same. Oh my god.
It's really fucked up because in the book they can't say the golden snitch. They say a golden orb with wings, and you're like, wait a minute, that sounds like the snitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, so drop a line. The Stephen King connected universe is very fun, and I haven't read a lot of his books, so I don't doubt that if people in the audience knows them, they can drop them in the comments.
Yeah, the people like who are big Stephen King fans can probably like piece all this together and like even add more stuff.
Like, tell me where I was wrong.
Exactly, or like give you more evidence for being right, sis. Oh my god. Okay. So that's it, guys. I hope, like, I hope that somebody, like, from Rooster Teeth, like, finds this. No, like, legitimately, like, I need to know how they feel about this. Like, I need to know, right? Because, do you remember, so I was one of the first people that tweeted about the poster being in the trailer, and, like, Miles and Carrie quote tweeted it, and they were like, this is so cool, this is awesome, all that stuff, and so I'm just like, how do you feel about this, Miles and Carrie? Like, how do you feel that the gods of light and darkness are actually Pennywise?
That's Stephen King and a turtle. That Stephen King stole your shit before you even got to it. That must be frustrating. Anyways,
we will see you guys later. Hope you guys enjoyed. Bye. Thank you to all the patrons over on Patreon who support our channel. Their names will be showcased now.